Prardhana and start the session. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Om Annado Sri Jagannatha Madguru Sri Jagadguru Mamatma Sarva Bhutatma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Om Akhanda Mandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. The only guru of three religions, Traitatheeram originator, sensational writer, Hindu virtue donor, the emperor of spiritual kingdom, Sri 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 Acharya Prabodhananda Yogeshwarlu. We are learning Traitatheeram Bhagavad Gita. We are learning 7th chapter in Traitatheeram Bhagavad Gita. That chapter name is Akshara Parabrahma Yogamu. We came to know that Aksharam means imperishable. It has no destruction at all. This entire chapter talks about the yogis who are doing yogam, whether they got the liberation in the same life or not. This is what we are going to learn in this chapter, Adhyayam itself. So this Adhyayam, this chapter contains 28 slokas. Out of 28, first two slokams are started with Arjuna's questions. So he asked about 7 questions. So what are they? Who is Brahman? What is Adhyatmikam? That means spirituality. So who is Brahma means who is big. So what is spirituality? What is karma? Who is the lord of bhutas? Bhutas means ghosts. And who is the lord of all demigods or devatas? Who is the lord of all the sacrifices happening in the body? And the people who are doing yogam at the end of their life, how they are getting you, how they are merging with you. So those are the 7 questions he asked. Those are the 7 questions he asked from the 2 slokams itself. So Lord Krishna gave answers to 6 questions from 3rd and 4th slokams. In the 3rd slokam, what he answered is the noblest one and which is imperishable is called Brahman or the big. And knowing himself is spirituality, and the root source or reason for the identity of the creatures is called the karma. And then in the 4th slokam, what he told is, so the bodies, the creatures, bodies are there, right? The creatures who will get destroyed, who will be destroyed, and all the devatas are demigods. So the lord of them is Atma, and the lord of all the yagnas are sacrifices which are happening inside the body is Atma itself. That way we got 6 answers. So for the 7th answer, whole chapter is allotted for that. That means 24 slokams talk about the answer to the 7th question. Let us see. Let's move forward and know the 5th question, 5th slokam. What is that? What Lord Krishna is telling over here. Antakale cha mame vasmaran muktva kalebaram Yaha prayati samadbhavam yati nasti atra samshayaha. This slokam is talking about the Atma and Paramatma. What he is saying is, whoever is recalling me at the last step of their life, he is attaining me. There is no doubt about that. So, while we are learning the Bhagavad Gita, we have to carefully understand which slokam talks about whom. So, there might be the roles like Jivatma, Atma, Paramatma, mortal soul, immortal soul, absolute soul. So, when he says I, that means is it Jivatma, is it Atma, is it Paramatma? That way we have to understand. If we understand in such a way, we can, there will be a clear clarity and complete answer to the question or doubt we get it. So here in this slokam, what he is saying at the end of the at the at the last step of the life, whoever is recalling him, he is attaining him, right? So for the body, inside the body, there is a last step of life, that is called avasana dasha, last step of life. So in order to attain him, we have to put our focus on Atma, immortal soul. So whenever it happens, there is no body to that mortal soul. So when, as long as we have the body, then we have to always recall the immortal soul. So when it is there, so at the end of the life, he is going to attain the absolute soul. So God is also telling that the absolute soul is saying that I am being like an immortal soul inside the body, and they are memorizing me, recalling me. So while they are doing like that, when the last step of the life is happening, that time they are recalling me, they are recalling Atma again, they are recalling Atma itself. Finally, they are attaining Paramatma. So, the absolute soul is available as an immortal soul inside the body to recall him. Thus, the absolute soul, they are attaining the absolute soul once after they recall the immortal soul at the end of their life itself. So, absolute soul can be attained by recalling immortal soul inside the body itself. So that is why in the slokam also he said that whoever is recalling me, he is attaining me, he said. Me means here absolute soul. So here who should be recalled, immortal soul should be recalled, and who should be attained, absolute soul should be attained. Like that we have to divide that and understand it, so that we can clearly understand entire notion what Lord Krishna explained to us, what Lord Krishna taught to us. In order to get that one, in order to attain the absolute soul, so what kind of principle we need to follow? That is told in the sixth slokam. Let us see sixth slokam. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalebaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavitaha. This slokam is talking about the mortal soul over here, whichever the feeling he is recalling, the here yam yam vapi smaran bhavam he is saying means the feeling whichever he is recalling and he is leaving the body, tam tame tyajachante kalebharam tam tame vaiti kaunteya. That means the same feeling related uh, body is birth is going to get. That happens because of the strength of his practice in his life. That's what he is telling over here. So this slokam is not specifically telling about somebody else. This slokam is like a principle, like a principle. So if you have a principle, according to that principle you can make so many calculations and different things using that. So that is why this slokam can is applicable to the people who are ignorant, the people who are jnanis as well, the knowers of the wisdom. So that is why in the slokam also he did not tell that this is particularly for this one and this is particularly for this matter itself. So the principle is that at the end of the life or the last step of the life, whoever recalls in their mind whatever the matter after the death is attaining that itself. That is the principle. So this is only going to be applied to the stage. The stage is end of the life stage. End of the life stage. So, and also this is applicable only to the timely death. So we need to read Swami's scripture, the mystery of the death. He explained about 4 types of deaths: timely death, untimely death, accidental death, final death. Those who get timely death is going to get immediately new birth itself. So during the timely death only the last stage of the life is happening, but not for other things. So the timely death, after timely death it may lead to final death. So other 2 deaths are there, right? Other one is accidental death and temporary death. So for both of them, for both of these 2 deaths, so there is no last stage of the life itself. So that is why whenever you recall a matter at the end of the life, if that matter is related to nature or external worldly thing, then you are going to born again and continue your life. If you recall immortal soul, then you will definitely attain absolute soul as per the previous slokam explained. So whoever in their life on whichever matter he puts more and more interest, and if it is very stronger one, then it is going to be recalled at the end of the stage of the life itself. Some people even they say that so it is better to recall the God at the end of the stage of the life. So God himself told that, right? Whoever could recall him at the end of the life, he is going to attain me. God said that, right? So why should we learn about the God in this age itself? So whenever we get the old age, can't we do that? So such kind of people are there. So many people are there like that. But one thing you have to remember, so whatever we think that way, it is not going to happen at the end of the life. So in our life itself, we don't have control what kind of thought should come to us and all. Everything is depending on the karma itself. So that is why, so if you think that at the end of the life you are going to recall the God, it is not possible at all. So in our life, on whichever the matter we put more focus, that is going to be attached to the mind itself. And the matter which is heart touching matter, that will be remaining in your whole life itself, and you will be recalling that always. But whenever, so that while that is the thing is there, so whenever we come closer to the death, at the end of the life stage has arrived, so what happens? The mind, which was very uh, powerful and strong while we are healthy and our body is in good condition, so at the end of the life, what happens? The strength of the power of the mind also degrades total. Mind is the one which will memorizes the matters, right? It will lose its strength itself at the end of the life stage. So how come it can recall whatever you think that time? It's not, it is not going to do that one. So it will be losing all its memories while we are approaching to the death itself. So finally, just before the death, there might be a little bit of time, like 1 second, 2 second, or even half minute, or something like that. Very tiny amount of time will be left over before the death itself. So that time, so mostly mind will be losing every memory, but it will remain with one memory on which the person has put more and more focus in his entire life itself. So for whoever the matter um, is the biggest one, some specific matter is the biggest one in their whole life itself, so that is only going to be recalled by the mind at the end of the life stage. So some people will have focus on the divine matters in their life. Some people will put more focus on the external related matters itself. So based on this, we can decide whether he is going to birth or whether he is going to get liberation. For example, if a person is there, so he likes so much the music, so he will be practicing so much. He will be learning a lot about that one. He will allot whole life learning about music like that. So he will have a lot of interest, right? So he likes a lot that. So his interest, everything is in that only. And some people will be there who they will be doing some research. He will put whole life in the research itself. So for these kind of people, it's an example, like just we are talking about the research and the music. Not only these two, there are so many things people will have interest on that. So in their life, at the end of their life, what happens? So these things will be memorized by the mind itself. So according to that, according to the thing what God said, so when they got this memory, when they recall this one at the end of the life, then immediately they are getting the same similar birth itself. So whatever he is much more focused on, on which matter he has focused much more, so the same matter he is recalling at the end of the life, and he is attaining that itself. So he is not coming out of that even after so many births as well. So he, as his interest is on that, we cannot change him. We cannot divert him at all. It's very hard. So the interest is like a gum. It's a very strong gum, like a Fevicol gum. It's very strong bond. So on whichever the matter he put focus, so his focus will be attached to that itself. So that is why our elder people also say that the interest of one person cannot be changed at all. So even if it wants to divert his interest, he cannot forgive that. He can't forgive that. So he will be always focusing on that. So if your interest is on matters of the God, then it is very good. If your interest is on external world related matters, even though the great gurus also cannot change that person. So that is why we have to clearly uh, understand that on which matter we need to put focus. That is most important one. So that is why in the seventh slokam, what Lord Krishna said is on which thing you have to put focus and in how you can attain me. So that is what he is telling in the seventh slokam. तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु मामनुस्मर युध्य च मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिर्मामे वैश्यस्य संशयः. So this slokam is talking about Atma, immortal soul, and the Sakaram, that means it's a form, formful God with form. God with form is Bhagavan. So here we can say he is talking about Bhagavan and immortal soul. So what he is saying is all the time you keep me, you keep me in your mind itself. That means you memorize me in your mind always. Me, he is saying. You offer your mind and intellect to me so that you will attain me. There is no doubt about that. He is saying over here. So, what he is saying, God is saying that we have to recall always Him and we have to offer our mind and intellect to Him so that we can attain Him. So we came to know that at the end of the life, based on the matter we recall, we are going to attain either the birth or the liberation. So, in order to get that one, from now onwards, we have to try for that. So, by doing that, you can attain me. That way, Lord Krishna told. So, we can attain Lord Krishna. That is why. So, in our life, all the time, our mind and intellect should be thinking about the God. We have to do that practice. So, by doing so always, finally we can attain Him. So, here, who taught this? This one is taught by Lord Krishna. So, Lord Krishna said that you should recall me. That means we should recall Lord Krishna. So, here there are some doubts. So, when Lord Krishna was there, that's fine. Now, Lord Krishna is not available. So, then whom we have to memorize, whom we have to remember. So, even after he is not available, do we have to um, memorize his form, or we have to memorize the formless God who is Atma, immortal soul? So, if he is available, do we have to uh, ignore him and only memorize immortal soul? Like that, there are so many questions are coming over here. We have to get answer for them. So Swami has provided very detailed answer to us. so that our doubts are cleared over here. So there are two things. One is formless, one is formful. Formful God is God with form is Bhagavan. God without form is Atma, immortal soul. So there is a problem always since from olden days itself, that whom to worship, when to worship, when whom should we worship. That is what the problem we got from so many uh, days itself. Uh, so whenever absolute soul comes as a Bhagavan, as long as he is there on the earth, we should worship him, and we have to offer our the mind and intellect to him. So we should keep our uh, all the activities whatever are related to him itself. So uh, whenever we come to know that he is really Bhagavan, then we should worship him, we should keep our focus on him only. So if we come to know that Lord Krishna is Bhagavan, then if you do Brahma Yogam, then this is like keeping the sheep, yeah, it is like a keeping, so the person keeping lamb uh, on his hands and moving around the village to search for the lamb itself, right? So that is not the right thing. So Bhagavan will come onto the earth for thousands of years or millions of years once. So whenever it happens, very rarely, so whenever he is appearing on the earth itself, whenever he is available on the earth itself, then we should not ignore the Bhagavan, and there is no need of doing the Nirakara worship. Nirakara means formless worship, that is worshipping the immortal soul. So once we come to know that he is the Bhagavan, he is the Lord Krishna, then we have to worship him only. So since now we are in the time where Lord Krishna is not available, so even though we worship his idol, we have to do the worship to the formless God. We have to pray the formless God. So there were some people who was having enmity with the Lord Krishna whenever he was there on the earth. So that those people becomes the like Nasta Yogis. Nasta Yogis means those who lost the yogam with the God, and they did not get they don't get the Gnana Agni, the wisdom fire at all. So after Lord Krishna's birth is over, so we have his pratima itself, right? The Murti pratima itself. That is not a vigraha at all. So um, so any the Murti can become vigraha, but Bhagavan's pratima or Murti cannot become vigraha at all. So those who worship the Bhagavan's pratima, it is equivalent like yogam. It is equivalent like yogam. It's not available for other vigrahas. So it's only there for Lord Krishna's pratima itself. So that way here Lord Krishna explained us about the how do we have to recall always him. So by doing that, and also offering our mind and buddhi, the mind and intellect to Lord Krishna itself, so we can attain him. So there is no doubt on that. If you have any doubts, you can comment in the YouTube channel itself. So we will answer for that. So let us do Mangala Pradhana and end the session. Om Mangalam Gurudevaya Mahaniya Prabodhatmane Sarvaloka Sharanyaya Sadhurupaya Mangalam. Prabodharpanam to everyone.